guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have the thrift flip that goes with the thrift haul that I filmed last week. Really excited for this one. Anyways, yeah, I just thrift flipped a few things. Here's how I did it. So actually, I started with the easiest project first since it's been a while since I've sewn. I actually was fashion club president in 7th grade and then I have not used a sewing machine since. Number one is the ASU tube top. I am actually going to be graduating from ASU anytime now in the next year or so, and I only have one other ASU top, but I also didn't want to spend like $40 on an ASU shirt in ASU, so at Goodwill I found this men's extra large shirt for $3.99, and it's actually perfectly worn in. I really liked how the details had kind of faded. So to start, first I put it on. I measured and marked where I wanted the top and bottom of the tube top to be. Then I cut it really bad. I swear I went back and fixed the cut there. And then originally I wanted to be able to only cut off one side of the fabric, so I only had to make one more hem on the other side of the shirt, but I realized that it was not made in my size, and if I only cut off one side and kept one of the original seams, I would have not centered the graphic and I would have actually had to cut off part of the graphic. So to figure out how I needed to cut it, I measured how long the shirt I had on was from seam to seam, and that was 13 inches. And then the ASU shirt I had was 19 inches, so I decided to cut 2.5 inches off of either side. I left a 1/2 inch for seam allowance. When I had it cut exactly right, I turned it right sides in and just sewed a seam straight down. Don't forget to backstitch to finish the seam off. Hey Mom, what's the button to backstitch? Do you know the button to backstitch? No. Found it. I left the top and the bottom raw edge because I thought it looked cute that way, but if you don't like that, you can always sew a piece of elastic into the top and bottom to make it easier to put on and off. After I had it sewn, if you have a lot of extra seam, you can just cut off that fabric. I flipped it inside out, and here's how it turned out. So the top cost me $3.99 and about ½ hour work for me, which according to the state of Arizona is $5.50 for ½ hour of my time. So not too bad for what would have been so much more at an ASU shop. And I'd actually really like how it turned out. This is definitely one of the simplest sewing projects you can do because you literally just need 2 straight seams. Number 2 I'm actually really proud of because I actually flipped the shirt. Like, it actually looks like I changed something about the shirt and I didn't just crop it or something like that. So this big white shirt originally cost $2.49. For inspiration, I had like 4 different YouTube videos pop up on my recommended. They all use different tactics, so I kind of just followed whichever ones I thought would be easiest for me, and I'll have all those linked down below. So this is a double-lined shirt. I started by measuring. My shirt was 26 inches across and I made it 11 inches long. The longer it is across, the more roughly it will be, and the taller you make it, the more or less cropped it will be. It was already connected at the sides, so I turned it right side in and sewed top all the way across. Why does he have a blanket? We don't have any toys in here. So I guess I just grabbed it. He's just holding. I messed up the machine somehow. Can I have this? Or are you just gonna hold it against me? Give it to Nicole. Give it to Nicole. He has 2 blankets. Theodore Roosevelt. Hi, Theodore. Hi. What a cutie. Do you think my mic is a toy? Do you know it's not a toy? He wants my mic. And after I sewed the top shut, I went and I sewed the bottom, and I left an inch so that I could turn it right side out again, and for that last inch I just like sewed it shut normally. So you'll end up with this closed off rectangle shape. I did kind of mess up on that last inch of stitching, but it's fine, it still turned out cute. Next I measured and marked 1.5 inch from the top and 1.5 inches from the bottom where the ruching will go. If you want to sew a straighter stitch than me, I'd recommend pinning all the way across. I did not. After that, I measured 1/2 inch from each line that I had already measured. The strap and the safety pin need to be able to fit through this little section, so I wouldn't make it much smaller than that. But I also wouldn't make it much bigger than that, otherwise it'll look funky. Then you'll want to stitch down all 4 of those lines, and don't forget to backstitch to tie off your work. Here you'll see me struggling to keep it straight, but still refusing to add more pins. It will end up looking just like this stitched up pillow sack kind of thing. I took some of the leftover material to cut 1-inch wide sections. The longer you cut, the longer your straps will be. I did end up stitching 2 sections together to get the length that I wanted. I folded it in half, then over again, and stitched along there to get a strap with no raw edges, just like this. I had to fold and then stitch little sections at a time to make sure it turned out right. My final string was this long. I probably should have measured, but it's too late for that now. To get the strap through, you'll have to seam rip the edges of each of those 1/2 inch sections, but in my case they were folded over, so I just cut them with a pair of scissors. I attached a safety pin to the end of the strap and pulled it through the bottom section. When it was through there, I looped it up and pulled it through the top. This loop is going to be your armhole, so it's important that you actually have a loop there. So when it's through the top, then you're going to want to pull it back through that bottom section to create the other loop armhole for the other side. It was a lot harder to get it through the bottom section twice, but 1/2 inch seemed to be a good size for me. If you did it right, you should have a loop on each side and a string on each side. When you're pulling them, you'll get the ruching and then tie in the back, and here's how it turned out. This is definitely my favorite thrift flip I've ever made. It takes about an hour if you're going to complete it correctly, but it's definitely worth it if you want to try it. Number 3 is a Brandy Melville top that I've actually had for forever. It's really, really old, and I figured if I mess it up, I already had enough use and wear out of it, and if I didn't mess it up, then I'd start to want to wear it more because it's not the same old top. For this, I used RIT dye in neon yellow, and I'd never dyed with RIT before. It was a little bit different than I was expecting. I honestly assumed you just squeezed it like straight onto the shirt, but RIT actually posted a how-to on their YouTube channel, so I followed that. For this, you'll need to start with a shirt that it's at least 60% cotton or any other natural material. If not, you'll need to find another dye. So I mixed 2 cups of hot water with 2 tablespoons dye in a squirty bottle from my elementary school. Any sort of squirty bottle will work. I did it on top of a grocery bag on top of a tarp because I was really paranoid about staining anything else. Like, I had already stained my hands before I remembered to put gloves on. I used the scrunch method, which is basically just scrunching up a bunch of mini sections and rubber banding them all over until your whole shirt is a scrunch. When it was all scrunchied up, I started squirting the dye onto it. I made sure to saturate certain areas. And I tried to make it totally yellow because there were plenty of sections that I couldn't see beneath the scrunches that would still end up white. After I was done squirting all over it, after I was done saturating it, I poured a cup of water to get any excess dye off that I guess hadn't soaked in. They said you need to do that. They also said to nuke it in the microwave for 2 minutes, but I live in Arizona and outside is the same thing as that. After about an hour of it being outside, I brought it inside and let it sit for about 2 more hours. I rinsed it 1 more time and then put it in the washer and the dryer with an old t-shirt that I didn't care about. In retrospect, I wish I had let it set more because the shirt itself is more of an off-white cream color, so in certain lighting it just looks fully yellow. But honestly, I still really like how it turned out, and I have a ton of dye left if I want to go back and do something else. I am a really big fan of the single color tie-dye. I love how this turned out. It only took me like 15 minutes of working and a few hours of letting it set. And RIT dye only costs, like, depending on if you can get it on sale or anything, $2 to like $5 per thing. Also though, okay, When I ordered my RIT dye online, I ordered dye, which was like $4, and then I ordered a dye remover for something else I need to work on, which was like $4, and shipping was $12 or $9. Shipping was more than both the things that I ordered, so that was really frustrating. Don't order it online, maybe find something else, or order $40 worth of dye so that you can get it for free shipping. That's all I have for my thrift flips today. Let me know if you want to see a lot more thrift flips from me. Let me know other videos you want to see from me. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye!
I heard you say I'm not the baddest, but you lied. It ain't my fault.